What is up, everybody? I'm going to struggle through this a little bit today. I'm going to do my best. My allergies are really absolutely killing me today. But I want to talk a little NFL. Obviously, let's talk about the NFL power rankings to see what everybody thinks about that. You're getting ready for this NFL season on Friday. I'm so excited. I think everybody's excited. Everybody's just waiting, waiting to see what's going to happen in that game. Just because it's the NFL, man. Everybody's worried about the NFL, right? Everybody wait for the NFL. That's what we live for. That's what we strive for, whether it be fans or analysts, man. I can't wait. Um, so listen, everybody, the NFL.com expert rankings come out, right? Power rankings. And I'm very curious to hear what everybody thinks because again, you never know what people are thinking and what their opinions are. Obviously, Kansas City and San Francisco are number one and two, respectively, which I see no problem with that. I don't know about you guys, okay, but what I'm thinking is, I like to see the Eagles are at number 14. Why? Why are they at 14? Why are they so low? Why are teams like Buffalo so high? And they're the things that I'm looking at. So let's go down the list real fast. We're getting ready again. Tony Cutillo at T Cutillo 23 at Fox Sports The Gambler, at Heat Ratio Sports at Philly Influencer. Listen to my fantasy fix every day, Monday to Friday, 350 ish on a daily ticket, and Tuesday's segment called The Final Judgment. And we're going to be going live all week, talking fantasy. Apologize for my nose right now. My allergies are absolutely through the roof, but I'm going to try to get through this as quick as I can without being annoying on the mic. But yeah, listen, we're going to break down. I want to do something different this year. We're going to do a lot of DFS talk when it comes to fantasy, a lot of power ranking talk when it comes to streamlining matchups, seeing what the, good players are, what the bad players are, and see what happens as we're going through. But right now, Philadelphia Eagles at 14. I think that's very, very interesting. I think it's a kind of like a telltale sign of what the national prognosticators feel about this team. Jason Peters moves back to left tackle, which thank God there is a God right now, because if not, Carson Wentz was going to get absolutely destroyed if Matt Pryor was going to play left tackle. So thank God for that. But I want to know what if there's any Buffalo fans that listen. I want to know what the Buffalo love is about. Buffalo in every power ranking I see is in the top seven. They're in the top seven. And as much as I like Sean McDermott, as much as I like the Buffalo Bills, I'm really surprised they're getting that much national love, especially when you're getting put ahead of teams like Seattle and Tampa Bay. I just don't see Buffalo being that force. Now, maybe, just maybe, it's because their defense is going to be that good. Okay, they just signed Tre'Davious White to a $70 million extension. Good for him. He's one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL, behind Stephon Gilmore. I really think he is that good. He's a lockdown corner again. He's a centerpiece of a defense, centerpiece of that secondary. Sean McDermott, obviously, that's what he wanted, and that's what he's going to have. But Josh Allen, listen, I like Josh Allen. I like the addition of Stephon Diggs. I just don't see it. I don't see where they become the number 4, 5, 6, or 7 team in football. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. Then when we look at Dallas, they have the. So right now, let me tell you, this is from NFL.com. This is their preseason power rankings going into week 1. You have Kansas City, San Francisco, respectively, 1 and 2. Then you go Baltimore at 3, New Orleans at 4, and Tennessee at 5. Now, I like Baltimore a lot. But I don't. New Orleans at 4 to me is too high. I with all due respect to Drew Brees and Sean Payton, who I really love, I don't see that being the perfect fit there at number 4. I just don't see it. I think you have to drop them down. Tennessee at 5. Listen, Tennessee's going to be a strong team. They make a good signing in Jadeveon Clowney, which I think was, listen, that is a big time deal for the Tennessee Titans. He is a Mike Vrabel kind of guy. He will solidify that defensive front, especially the end position. And we'll see what Ryan Tannehill can bring again this year, right? That's the biggest thing. What will Ryan Tannehill bring? What will he bring to the table? Will he be able to replicate what he did last year? Will Derrick Henry be able to replicate what he did last year? Will A.J. Brown be able to replicate what he did last year? So there's a lot of different perspectives to look for, a lot of what ifs when you talk about the Tennessee Titans. And then we're talking about there's Buffalo. Like I said, there is Buffalo at number 6. And I don't see it. I really don't. I'm really surprised. Dallas at number 7. Listen, I talked about this before. Dallas to me is a very good team. Are they a 7th best team in NFL right now? I don't think so. I feel like the Eagles are better than them, to be honest with you. I really do. I think I like Carson Wentz better than Dak Prescott. I like Doug Peterson right now better than Mike McCarthy. I love Mike McCarthy, but I just, in this year, this abbreviated off season we keep talking about on this show, I just think that this is a time where you have to pump the brakes a little bit and see what happens. Green Bay at 8. Green Bay, I don't see that being a 13-12 win team again. I don't. I just don't see it. I think they're a 10-win team. I love Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers will continue to be the magic guy and will continue to make things happen out there at Green Bay. Aaron Jones solidifies the running game. Jamal Williams is a great backup. They draft Dillon and AJ Dillon, and he looks like he's going to be a future Eddie Lacy pound smash mouth running back, which is great. I really like their wide receiving core. A lot of people don't. I do. I like Valdez. I like Alan Lazard. I think Alan Lazard takes a big step in that number 2 spot behind Devontae Adams. I really like what they did there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the relationship of Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers continues to basically build from year after year. So the first year last year was a little rocky. Obviously, they bring in Jordan Love. So interesting pick to say the least. Well, what was it doing? Was it making Aaron Rodgers think? I still think Aaron Rodgers becomes a quarterback of the New England Patriots the next year. I'm going to keep saying it. I really think that's what happens. I think Cam goes somewhere else, and I think Aaron Rodgers is the guy in 2021, but we will see. And then you talk about Seattle. Seattle comes in, and again, Kansas City 1, San Francisco 2, Baltimore 3, New Orleans 4, Tennessee 5, Buffalo 6, Dallas 7, Green Bay 8, Seattle 9. So Seattle's a very interesting team. Seattle will always be there because of 2 deals, because of Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, because they are that good. Pete Carroll is the unquestioned leader of that team on the sideline. There is no assistant head coach that's overtaking what he teaches. There is no offensive or defensive coordinator the players like playing for more. Pete Carroll is the guy. He is one of the most energetic and charismatic head coaches in the NFL. I really, really like what Pete Carroll does. I really enjoy watching him on the sideline. I like the confidence he builds to that team. I think that is very important. I also think Russell Wilson, obviously, is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I think we all agree on that. And this year he has 2 weapons, in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, that you've seen the evolution of DK Metcalf, and you see the evolution of a Tyler Lockett. So you have a really good running game with Chris Carson as well, and you have Russell Wilson, who says he wanted to throw the ball more. Will Dissly, will he be healthy this year? Will he come back from injury? Will he be able to pick right back up where he started? So these are the things that a lot of people are forgetting with Seattle, that they had a really good offensive showing last year, and they're only going to get better. And then rounding out the top 10 is Minnesota. So Minnesota is an interesting team. A lot of people don't like Minnesota because they're not Kirk Cousins fans. I'll tell you something. Kirk Cousins can be very efficient if he only throws the ball 15 to 17 times a game. It's the same kind of thing that San Francisco tried to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. You take the strengths of the quarterback, right? You take the strengths of the quarterback, which, listen, this is a pound running game. You have Gary Kubiak as now your offensive coordinator, taking over for Kevin Stefanski, and he is going to run a rock with Dalvin Cook 100%. This is going to be Dalvin Cook's offense. You have Adam Thielen steps up as a number 1, right? And then you have Stephon Diggs is gone. You have Justin Jefferson, which is a rookie that comes in. My nose is killing me. I apologize. Molly checks in. What's up, Molly? Minnesota. Yeah, everybody. Not many people are Minnesota fans. For me personally, I really like what Minnesota's doing. I do. I really, really like what Minnesota's doing. I like how they've been able to take, you know, uh, Kirk Cousins, and I like how he had about a 6 or 7 game spot last year where he was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, can he be that week to week? No, but he's going to give you that ability to get those wins when he's hot. And I think this year, he loses one of those weapons, but that's okay. I think he had more of a relationship with Adam Thielen anyway. So I think, you're going to see Justin Jefferson as a rookie step up, because Justin Jefferson, even though this is abbreviated offseason, Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, was one of the most polished receivers coming out of college, probably the most polished receiver out of the draft. So somebody I want the Eagles to take, but obviously they didn't. And then we come to Indianapolis. Indianapolis at number 11. Old man Rivers finds a new home, right? This is all going to have to depend on Phillip Rivers' arm. Phillip Rivers showed last year a lack of strength, a lack of power. He showed that even with time, he was not able to get the ball downfield to guys like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So, it's going to be interesting to see what Phillip Rivers has left. But one thing is for sure, he flourished under Frank Reich before. And I think flourishing under Frank Reich will give him the ability to kind of take a step back and reinvent himself. Listen, he only signed for 1 year. We know what this is all about. We know the reason why he only signed for 1 year, because of his age. We get it. We want to see what he has left. But listen, Indianapolis has a really good system out there, and this is going to be the best offensive line Phillip Rivers has played under in probably his entire career. So this is something that Phillip Rivers needed towards the tail end of his career. I really do. I think you can reinvent him a little bit if you give him time. They're going to have a tremendous running game out there with Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, one of the most promising young running backs in the NFL. We'll see what he does. T.Y. Hilton, if he stays healthy, you still have Jack Doyle out there. You have weapons. And remember, Phillip Rivers loves the tight end. I mean, we've seen that with Antonio Gates for so many years. So Jack Doyle is going to be one of those top targets for him week in and week out. And then we go to Pittsburgh, right? And then we're number 12 in Pittsburgh. And that's an interesting team, a defensive powerhouse. Okay, something that the Pittsburgh Steelers have never had in Ben Roethlisberger's career. Ben Roethlisberger has been the quarterback for many, many years in Pittsburgh, and he has never had a stud-out defense like he has right now. And he didn't even get to enjoy it last year, right? When they traded for Minka Fitzpatrick, everybody said, "Oh, that's too much. Listen, that's too high of a pick. I would never give up a first rounder for Minka Fitzpatrick," right? Well, guess what? When you're really good and you can afford to give up a first round pick when it's in the late 20s, especially for a guy who completely changes your defense, which Minka Fitzpatrick actually did. And then you have a guy like Joe Hayden, who is still Joe Hayden. People thought that he lost everything. Well, guess what? Joe Hayden is bringing the heat. He is not. It's like Mike says. Mike says, "Bring the heat." Well, I'll tell you what. That is exactly what Joe Hayden is doing. At his age and with his abilities that everybody thought they would be downgraded, but they are not. They are still there, which is good for them. And listen, Pittsburgh has a really good young team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we're talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, who was hurt last year and played with a terrible couple quarterbacks in Hodge. And listen, that was a dreck last year. We understand that. James Conner comes back this year. You've seen the workout videos. Listen, they Chase Claypool they draft, who is going to be a really good receiver. They still have James Washington, Deontay Johnson out there, who broke out a little bit last year, will continue to get better this year. They have a lot of weapons, and Big Ben, even at 38, is going to throw the ball a lot. That's what Pittsburgh does. So, Pittsburgh, for my money, a very decent team. Number 12 overall. I don't know. Then we go to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay at number 13. Molly says she loves Juju. Molly, listen, I love Juju's on every single one of my fantasy teams so far. I think Juju has a monster year again this year, 90-plus catches. I know everybody's worried about, he can't play without Antonio Brown. Listen, he got hurt, people. He got hurt. He was playing hurt. He was playing with bad quarterbacks. You cannot compare this year last year and say he just cannot play with Antonio Brown. You have to give him another year, give him the benefit of the doubt. I really think he will be back. That the Tampa Bay. Listen, Tampa Bay to me is going to be one of the most exciting teams of football this year. Obviously, you see what they did on offense. You see what they did at the running back position. You see, obviously, they bring Tom Terrific, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterbacks of all time to play the game, and he's going to be there in a Bruce Arians run offense. And Bruce Arians has worked. Listen, Tom Brady doesn't even need to have wonders work for him. He is still that good. But if you look back at the history of a Bruce Arians style offense, I mean, he had guys. Listen, don't forget Carson Palmer, Kurt Warner at the latter stage of their careers, and he made them flourish in that system. So I think this is going to be the same thing with Tom Brady. He allows him to bring his boy Gronk into the fold. Do you think Gronk is going to get 90 catches? No, but Gronk is going to be the guy that he always looks at. Chris Godwin, monster year this year. I'm telling you right now, Chris Godwin will have a Wes Welker type year. He will have a Julian Edelman type year. He will be that guy for Tom Brady. I hate Brady no matter what, but the Bucs going to be fun as hell. Listen, I can't hate Tom, Molly. I can't hate Tom. He's got the rings, he's got the accolades, and listen, the guy. He is one of the best to ever play the game. And his story, listen, the story about where he was drafted and how he was an unsung hero. You can not like his attitude, you cannot like what he's all about, but one thing's for sure, his talents are absolutely remarkable. And you're right, they will be fun as hell to watch. And then at 14 comes the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm really surprised the Eagles are 14. I really am. And I look at this list and I look at who I will put Philly ahead of, right? Who will we put Philly ahead of when we talk about these power rankings? If you look at those top 13 teams, right? Obviously, they're not going to be in the top 7, but Buffalo to me, I still think needs to drop a little bit. I would take Philly and put them above Minnesota. I would. I think Philly has a better team in Minnesota as long as they can stay healthy. The biggest thing with Philadelphia for us as Eagles fans and as Philly fans is who is Carson Wentz going to be able to throw the ball to. So that's going to be the interesting factor here when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then underneath the Philadelphia Eagles, rounding out the top 15 is the New England Patriots. Very interesting. I think the New England Patriots definitely got a lot of clout here to be number 15 because I can tell you right now that there's a handful of teams I would put above the New England Patriots at number 15. And I think this is just basically this is all past accolades for New England. This is exactly what they have built as a reputation. That's why they're number 15. Listen, Cam Newton, I think will have a fantastic year. I do. I think this is Cam that he wants to showcase that he's still able to be one of the most prolific quarterbacks in the NFL. I really do. I think that's exactly what he's going to do in New England. He still has some weaponry out there. They still have a solid running game. So they will be a good team. But to put them at number 15, I don't know, man. I really don't know if I agree with that, especially when you look around the league and you see some other teams like Atlanta, who I think I think Atlanta should be, ahead of New England right now. I think they have more weapons. I think they have more experience right now. I think they're more consistent when Atlanta. So I would definitely put them ahead of New England. So this is going to be a fun year. Listen, this is going to be a year you've seen a couple big contract extensions. Let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins for the Arizona Cardinals getting a big extension, man. He will be the highest paid receiver in the NFL, topping Michael Thomas, who obviously got the extension last year. So, he deserves it. Listen, DeAndre Hopkins is one of my favorite players. He comes to work every day. He plays every day as one of the best set of hands in the NFL. Even from if you take out the fancy perspective and look at him as the player, he comes to work, man. He does his job. He knows his role. It's almost like, WWE reference with The Rock. Know your role, shut your mouth. That's exactly what, DeAndre Hopkins means. I'm not saying he needs to shut his mouth. What I'm saying is he's the consummate professional. He shows up and he helps guys be better. He leads by example, right? And when you would go to Arizona, you have a guy like Kyler Murray, and you have young receivers out there like Christian Kirk. Obviously, 100%, you are going to be able, to pass some some experience down to these guys. So it was, I think it was a very important signing. It was actually something to keep an eye on. It's obviously the reason why he was dealt from Houston. Poor Deshaun Watson, who now has looked at Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller. Hopefully, he can stay healthy, and those guys can help him have a monster year. But listen, Philadelphia Eagles at 14. I think it's interesting. I want to get on here and talk about the top 15 in NFL. Try to do something every day. Obviously, different topic. Tomorrow, I want to preview the Houston Kansas City game on here, and then on Friday, I think we're going to do a preview of the Washington and Philadelphia game. Break it down, have some have some interesting statistics. See what we need to look forward to. I'm really not worried about Dwayne Haskins. We'll get into some predictions. We'll see what everybody thinks. But listen, the NFL is back, people. It's time to get excited. It's time. This is what we live for. This is what we love. And Thursday night's going to be one hell of a game. There's going to be a lot of fireworks. And what is I want to talk about tomorrow is what is your predictions for that game? Well, what is maybe one guy? What is a bold prediction you have? Somebody that will stand out that nobody's expecting. We know Deshaun Watson. We know Patrick Mahomes. For my money, McCall Hardman. I think this is going to be a game where McCall Hardman goes off, man. I really do. Andre, what's up, buddy? Is it Thursday yet? Thursday Eve, man. It's NFL Eve, right? I'm just talking about this Kansas City and Houston game, man. Talking about guys who maybe are under the radar, who not just from a fantasy perspective, but from an NFL perspective. I'll do my fancy stuff later, but for right now, just guys that may be able to produce that you're not expecting. I'm telling you, I expect big things from McCall Hardman. I really do. I think McCall Hardman is going to be that number 2 guy in that offense. I mean, obviously Travis Kelce is the number 1 guy. We all know that. All right, Tyreek Hill is the number 1 guy when it comes to the outside. But at the same time, I really, really feel that McCall Hardman can get this step up. I do. Andre says I got Houston for that's always an interesting pick. It's a Super Bowl hangover, right? We talk about that all the time, and we dealt with that in Philadelphia for so many years, right? So, 100%. I could definitely see Houston taking this game, and especially because everybody is just dogging Houston right now. They really are, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of am too. I'm not happy with what Bill O'Brien did out there. In Houston. You don't trade away your number 1 overall player. I'm sorry, especially when you already have formed a cohesion with your star quarterback. It's just not happening. You bring back a guy in David Johnson who's consistently hurt, and I don't know. Listen, maybe it works out, right? Maybe it works out, and you have Brandon Cooks who goes off, and Will Fuller can stay healthy, and listen, I really think maybe this can work out. I really do. But I'll tell you what. It's going to have to work out, because if it doesn't, Bill O'Brien is going to be on the hot seat, because you see what Arizona just did. They upped the best receiver in football for my money. I said this before in the NFL, best NFL receiver, in my opinion, is DeAndre Hopkins. Best fantasy receiver is Michael Thomas. But Andre, listen, man, I am so looking forward to this game come Thursday night. I think we all are. John, what's up, buddy? Long time talk. Nice to see you. But yeah, hey John, I'm gonna hit you up later. So I got a question for you. Not a media question, something else. But we'll get into that a little later. But listen, what all I wanted to say is right now, Thursday night. What's up? What's up, Jimmy V? Morning, Thursday night football, great quarterback matchup. That's exactly what's going to be. It is. It's exactly what it's going to be. I mean, the NFL could not have planned this any better, right? They could have not have planned this any better to have two of the – listen, Patrick Mahomes has taken the torch. In my opinion, he has taken the Tom Brady torch. He is the leader of the NFL. That's he is the mainstay. He is the centerpiece. He is the franchise. He is the gem of Roger Goodell. That's exactly what he is. But Deshaun Watson is a close second. So you're going to see both of these guys have some fireworks, man. They have a statement to get, if not Hopkins will go on. Yeah. Listen, I think DeAndre has been pretty good with this whole thing, Andre. He does. I don't agree with it. I would have been going off. I would have thrown all the dirty laundry out there, to be honest with you. That's for damn sure. Jigsaw wouldn't have been getting traded from the Houston Texans and going to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he went to a really good spot. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you think about it, he went from Deshaun Watson, who already established, to a guy like Kyler Murray, who's just starting to establish himself. So maybe this even works out better for him, right? Maybe this even works out better for him. I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what. Well, check it. All right, what did I miss so far? Listen, here's a big deal, man. This is what I'm talking about. Eagles power rankings right now, NFL power rankings, Eagles at 14. That's what I covered in the beginning. We talked about the teams ahead of them. I'm trying to figure out why everybody has so much love for Buffalo. I'm trying to figure out why everybody has so much love for Indianapolis and Minnesota. I think that, Buffalo should be dropped. Dallas is at number 7. Really odd to me that, these NFL power rankings, even though I know we have a lot of question marks for the Eagles at 14, I just think that they should be a little higher than 14, in my opinion. It's a little dirty, but he's taking a higher. A friend of mine works at Houston radio station. Oh, yeah, it's good insight. Andre's always bringing stuff to the front, man. Andre is always bringing good shit here. A friend of mine works at Houston radio station, taught them. Listen, I think so, man. I think so. I think you're completely right. I think there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes when we talk about DeAndre Hopkins. I really do. I think there was a lot of stuff that people that people didn't talk about, because this came out of nowhere. This move came absolutely out of nowhere. You heard a little bit. And listen, DeAndre Hopkins was just asking. He just wanted to be paid. Not like the top. He wasn't asking for top receiver money. He was actually being pretty reasonable with his demands, to be honest with you. So he was a good soldier with all that. So I think there was some other stuff going on, like Andre said. Obviously, looks like he has a little insight. But you know what? Now he gets to play with Larry Fitzgerald. Right now, he gets to play with Kyler Murray. Cliff Kingsbury is going to have him. Listen, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a better opportunist when it comes to offense in Arizona than Bill O'Brien is in Houston. So this is going to be a good move for D-Hop, and he gets his money. And for my money, now from a fantasy perspective, I think he takes a step back a little bit this year, because I don't think he's going to get the 150 targets he's accustomed to, especially that offense. I think that offense is going to be exciting. I think it may take a couple weeks to basically gel and get the cohesion of the line and the cadence and get all these players together. But at the end of the day, there's a guy that is that Andre Johnson. Wow. Is that DeAndre Johnson? That's a good one. Andre Johnson I'll tell you what, if you think about the Houston Texans, they had some really, really good players. They exciting players over the years. They really did. I mean, when you think about it, they really, really had guys. When you talk about Andre Johnson, when you talk about Arian Foster, when you talk about Steve Slayton, right? They had some tremendous talent. Listen, Matt Schaub out there was getting it done to Andre Johnson for a little while, right? I mean, that offense was clicking under those two guys. So, but Andre checks in. Andre's absolutely right. He gets to learn from Larry. He's excited. Larry is just, listen, 100%, Andre. 100%. For me, Larry Fitzgerald is that guy, and I think you'll agree with this. Larry Fitzgerald is that guy that you have your son look at if he wants to be not just a football player, but a professional player, right? He just wants to be, this is the guy that you want to emulate. This is the guy who you say, watch his work ethic. Watch what he does. Look how he takes care of his body. Listen to him his press conferences. Follow his lead when he looks at, what he does for the community, the way he gives back, the way he's a leader in the locker room. Larry Fitzgerald is the consummate professional. He really is. And I love the Larry Fitzgerald story. I really do. And DeAndre Hopkins, for people who don't know, if and again, people just like to speculate on certain things, and that's what really pisses me off, because people always want to quote what they see on social media and think it's legitimate. People just throw shit out there, people. If you haven't figured that out by now, people just throw out there to get a rise out of people. I do some homework. The Athletic, to me, I subscribe to the Athletic. It's the best subscription in America when it comes to sports. I can tell you that right now. Some of the most credible writers in all of sports are on the Athletic. It's something, and you get to see every team's perspective, right? And when you read about what DeAndre Hopkins has done in the community and for his family, it will make you look at him in a different light. You will understand why he deserves everything that he gets. Andre's second in here. He's 2 inches taller, $50 million richer. No big difference. Listen, Andre Johnson had a really, really good, really good career. But now I don't think Andre T. Johnson is the Andre Johnson from the U. I don't know, Andre. Did you go to the U? Not sure, but seriously, listen, DeAndre Hopkins, great contract, couple good contracts yesterday. Tre'Davious White, $70 million on the cornerback position we talked about from Buffalo. I think that's a tremendous signing for Buffalo. Sean McDermott, he's a defensive-minded coach, right? He wants the defense intact, and that's one thing that they have. They have a really, really good and solid defense out there in Buffalo. They have a tremendous pass rush. They have a really good linebacking core, and obviously the secondary now is Tre'Davious White's. It's his commonplace. It's his territory. It's his platform. So that was well deserved. And I think that Buffalo, even though in these power rankings, they have them at 6, which I think is way too high. If he can get Josh Allen to settle down and become a better pocket passer, which I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But if with Stephon Diggs coming out, if they still have John Brown out there, they still have Cole Beasley. They have a really nice receiving core out there, and John Brown, is going to get more opportunities now because of Stephon Diggs. He did last year. He caught 72 balls for 1,000 yards last year. I still think he gets 70 to 75. I think he gets more touchdowns because I think he's going to be more open. He's going to command more single coverage. And if John Brown, with the concussions, can stay healthy, he has tremendous upside in Buffalo. Tremendous upside. Larry Fitzgerald equals Kawhi Leonard. Every sport has a professional. That's an interesting one, Andre. Kawhi's an interesting individual. I don't even know how to explain Kawhi Leonard. I really don't. I don't know. He's so close to the hip. He's so tight-lipped. He doesn't really explain much. Obviously, we know what he's all about when it talks to press conferences. But I will give one thing to Kawhi Leonard. He was the first guy to question a pop system. He was the first guy to question the almighty San Antonio Spurs because, again, the San Antonio Spurs for years have had that pedigree, have had that reputation of being one, the gold standard, one of the top franchises in all of the NBA, right? But when Kawhi had that ankle injury, he was the first one to come out and question that medical staff. He was the first one to come out and say, listen, I don't care, money or not, I do not want to play in San Antonio. And I respected the hell out of that. This wasn't a LeBron James decision. Like, this wasn't a political statement. This wasn't, a media blitz. This was Kawhi Leonard being Kawhi Leonard. This was him. He's never changed. He was like this in college. He's been like this in the pro. So that's one thing I will say about Kawhi. May respect for Kawhi Leonard for just being who he is no matter what and questioning the almighty San Antonio Spurs, something that not many people were able to do. So that being said, what about the NBA? What about, listen, I know we're talking football and we can't wait, but real fast before we go, the NBA has been very exciting to me. And I listen, football is going to take center stage, obviously, but the NBA bubble, the playoffs to me have been tremendous. And Billy Donovan getting fired, Oklahoma City Thunder, that's an interesting name. I think that's a name that the Philadelphia 76ers really, really need to look at. I really dig what Billy Donovan has done. I really do. Was Aldridge just a good player on a bad team that put up stats? LaMarcus Aldridge, San Antonio has the reputation for getting players right? Who never excelled. They were good, but they make them that much better when they come to San Antonio. LaMarcus Aldridge is one of them. DeMar DeRozan is another one. Think about in the past some of the players that have come to San Antonio. Think of a guy named Bruce Bowen, right? Bruce Bowen came to San Antonio. He played for the 76ers and stunk. He went to San Antonio and they found out what he was. He was a defensive minded player who could shoot from the outside, right? So think about it. They developed guys like Bruce Bowen. So they have the knack for doing that, and they really do. And that's all about Pop, man. You could question his mindset, but his basketball ability is second to none. Heater Celtics, listen, Billy had some stars that couldn't get them to the next stage, so I don't know about him. Yeah, but here, before I get to the Heat and Celtics, I'm going to lay a little smack on that comment a little bit, Mike. I understand, right? I get it. You can go back and talk about the players that he had. We know who he had. We know he had it at every single different time. But the one thing he was able to do is he was able to handle guys. So he was one of the first guys to come from those college ranks to actually be successful. So I think even though he didn't get to where they thought maybe they should have been, I mean, that team this year with Steven Adams and CP3, I don't know, man. I don't know. They just didn't have enough. They just didn't have enough. Right. Obviously, when they have Westbrook and PG-13, I get it. But Billy Donovan has run a really good organization out there in Oklahoma City. So I would not be remiss to see him come to the 76ers. I'll tell you what. Or to gear toward team play, even the stars give out the ball. Exactly. That's a great point, Andre. 100%. And I think that's why. I've been on record as saying this. I'm not a Russell Westbrook guy. I think he's a very selfish player. I don't like his attitude. I don't like what he stands for. In the sense of on the court, I respect his play. I just don't. I think he's too selfish of a player to be able to play with other stars, which is why he's always going to be second rated, in my opinion. And that's why he didn't want to play in Oklahoma City, even though he was there. That's why he was glad to be traded, because he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to. You were wrong, haha, JP. Wait, what am I wrong on? Talk to me, JP. Talk to me, Mike. Heater Celtics. Listen, all right. Here's the thing. Jimmy Butler. I hate, but he can ball. Right, Mike. 100%. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Westbrook has taken. I've said this on the show before. He's taken the one man fast break thing, and he is definitely taking that away from John Wall, and he is taking that to himself, because I don't think there's another player in the NBA that can get to the rim any faster than Russell Westbrook. Oh, just playing. My bad, Mike. I didn't know. I wasn't sure what you were saying. But no, listen. Heat or Celtics? Real fast before we go. Heat or Celtics? This is the interesting part. Celtics have a tremendous team. I really do, and I'm a Brad Stevens guy. And listen. As much as I'm a Sixers fan, I love the way Boston plays. I'm very jealous that they had the guy I wanted in Jason Tatum, and that is going to haunt us for years. Jimmy Butler is balling, man. He is. Now, the thing is about Miami, this is, for my money, with no disrespect to Nick Nurse, because he did win a title and he did win Coach of the Year, but the two best coaches in the Eastern Conference are going head-to-head in Brad Stevens and Eric Spoelstra. Two guys, brilliant minds. They really are. And I just don't know if Jimmy has enough to beat the Celtics on his own. So his supporting cast is going to have to be tremendous. It really is. Guys like Tyler Hero are going to have to be tremendous. Dragic is going to have to be tremendous. Bam is going to have to be tremendous. Whiteside is going to have to be tremendous. These guys are going to have. They can't slip. They can't slip. They are going to have to be top notch when it comes to production and support. So If they can do that, I think the Heat can beat Boston. But Boston has so many weapons. I'm just not sure if when you're talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker, the list goes on, man. They are so hard to defend. They play so well in space. They get up and down the court. I don't think there's another coach better out of a timeout than Brad Stevens. They're just always mentally prepared. They're always physically able. And listen, they're going to be a good team for a long time. And they always seem to be able to replace who they lose. Obviously, Kyrie Irving goes, they bring in Kemba Walker, they don't miss a beat. I'm very jealous. I wish the Philadelphia 76ers had that same prestige and had that same magic, and it just don't look it. So we're going to see what happens. But listen, we're at the 40-minute mark. I got to run. I got another show at 10:30 at Sports Guy Mike Show. Check it out on Twitter. I'll share it as well. We're going to hit that up. We got the quad box going. Chris B, and Mike checking out, talking about all the new stuff in sports. And again, check me out tonight. I'll be live tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy. I'm going to go fantasy at night. Sports during the day, fantasy at night. That's going to be my new setup. So tonight we'll do a little fantasy football talk, man. Andre, thanks for checking in as always. Mike, thanks for checking in as always. You guys, Jimmy V, thanks for checking in. You guys are always great, man, as always. But yeah, listen, if you guys want to talk some fantasy, I will be live tonight talking fantasy. Again, talking about getting ready for the Thursday night game, who you need to streamline, some DFS picks, some week 1 picks. Talk about what's shaking when it comes to Detroit. Is AP going to be a force from week 1? Alvin Kamara, is he going to be able to shake off the contract demands? It sounds like they're close, but if not, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be that guy? Aaron Jones looks like he's going to get some money. But again, check me out tonight, probably around like 9:30. We'll go live again and we'll talk some fantasy football. So again, at Cutillo23, at Heat Ratio Sports, at Fox P, it's all Gambler. Check me out. Thanks again. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you a little tonight.